Hello, Cancer, and welcome to your 2017 spring into midsummer reading called Involution. The revolution is within. It is. My name's Eric Francis Coppolino, your astrologer for the next half hour or so, or maybe I've been your astrologer for a while. In any event, I've got this lovely chart here for the sign Cancer, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. But before I go there, I can just start with a brief summary, and then I'll show you how that looks in the chart. I don't want to distract from the idea that your sign is on the cardinal cross. It is one of the master signs of the cardinal cross because it is in the northern hemisphere. It is the longest day of the year, and it's kind of glorious to be born with the sun in the sign Cancer. And the chart I'm using for this reading is the base chart is the sun's ingress into Cancer on June 21, and I've also added some features from the Great American Eclipse chart of August 21st, 2017, which takes place in your neighboring sign of Leo. Now, the thing about being on any of the signs of the cardinal cross, but particularly Cancer, the way that it is oriented around the planets in the solar system right now, is that basically you are getting, let's just say, input from all of the major directions of life. The longest standing influence that's been doing this has been Pluto in Capricorn, and that began around 2007, and that began let's say a phase of your relationships where you might accurately say things haven't been the same since. That's the kind of thing what happens when Pluto shows up and it's in your relationship house. And one of the things that makes that poignant is that Pluto really is the kind of big daddy of the gods of change, and Cancer is oriented with Capricorn on the relationship house, and that indicates a love of stability. In many ways, Cancer and Capricorn actually are opposite signs, in that Cancer is the sign ruled by the moon, and the moon cycles rapidly. Capricorn is one of two signs that is ruled by Saturn. Saturn was the slowest moving known planet of antiquity. It takes approximately 29 years to go around the zodiac. So we've got the moon, which takes about 29 days to go around, and Saturn, which takes around 29 years to go around. One of the things you depend upon for your grounding and for your stability is relationships. Only the little problem is that with Pluto moving through your house of relationships, you have been kind of inundated with change, and it's been difficult to get your bearings in your relationships. And not only are the individual relationships changing, but the very ground upon which those relationships are built is changing. Then there's what's going on in your work life, right? Freud said that one of the things I like about Freud is he said life really is made of love and work, and Wilhelm Reich agreed also that love and work are the two most important things, and we need to be fulfilled in those things. And in your house of work, the real work, not just the get it done because you have nothing else to do, or that's the job you have, whether you're working at McDonald's or something you're probably not working in McDonald's. So the real house of work, the house of what you want to accomplish, what you need to achieve, the house that talks about what you came into this life to do, the 10th, what you're known for. Uranus has been running through that house for 7 years. And so in the two most vital aspects of life, love and work, you have had two of the certified, bona fide gods of change, Pluto and Uranus, changing everything, basically on an almost routine basis. And as someone who craves stability and needs stability, that has been challenging, but it has been meaningful. And there have been a series of events running through Capricorn and Aries that have intensified over the years. That 2007 through, let's say, 2011 was a kind of a warm-up, and then there was a peak from 2011 through 2015, and then right on the heels of that, the change process was handed off to the Uranus-Eris conjunction taking place in your house of work and of purpose and of reputation. That's a lot. I'm going to come back to this in a second, but I want to finish this quick summary of the cardinal cross. Then, somewhat gentler, is Jupiter in Libra, and that is in your house of home. Jupiter in the fourth. I'll just quickly show you where that is. That's down below here. Career house, Uranus, Eris, relationship house, Pluto, Capricorn, with a relationship asteroid there, Juno, and then house, home, security, family, Jupiter in Libra. That's providing some counterbalance and some relief and a bit of living well is the best revenge. That could be the motto of the sign Cancer. Living well. Taurus could use that one too. And so with Jupiter in Libra, your house of home and of security and home base, you're getting a chance to feather your nest and live well and make your life better in material ways. Okay, so that's not exactly coming at you. That gives you a place where you can sort of get some respite and rest and relax and hang out a little bit. But in your own sign, particularly at the summer solstice, when the sun arrives, Mars is going to be there. So there's a grand cross going on that's covering Cancer, Cap, and then Aries, Libra. And so you are being pushed and prodded and guided. Let me just get a little more light here using my highly sophisticated piece of painting board to block the window light. I've never bonded with a video camera. You're getting an accelerated course in acceleration, an advanced course in rising to the occasion, basically. And this is not going to stop anytime soon. This is going to continue. You will be called upon again and again to rise to the occasion. And between, you might say, 07 and 2020, you will have lived like 2 or 3 distinct lifetimes and keep getting advanced and compelled to move to new places, both in your intimate life and in your working life on the most important, highest level, the life that you live where you fulfill a purpose and you know that is your purpose. This is challenging now because there is so much chaos in the air and there is so much nihilism and so much of this bullshit line that nothing matters and who gives a toss and what the hell and, no, you can't be doing this. You need to respect, honor, love, and fulfill and engage yourself and embody your purpose. And you are in an amazing position to do this because most of the genuinely revolutionary activity in the sky right now is in your house of purpose, the 10th house in Aries. And in addition, where Aries is in one's chart is where one aspires to find oneself. And you are aspiring to find your oneself in your professional life. Let's just give you an idea of how that actually looks here. 10th house, see that little 10 there? We know this is the Cancer chart because Cancer is on the eastern horizon. It's a solar chart, but it's a chart. And when you have a chart to work with, you can get a reading, which is what we are doing. And so Cancer there, Aries right up there, is the house of profession, of reputation, of having an impact in the world, and also of your relationship to corporate and government power. And though the sign Cancer is often considered one of the homey, cozy signs, and we like to cuddle up with the cat and all of that stuff, actually, the sign Cancer is very well prepared to be relating to the world on its terms, because you are able to participate with the world on its terms and make its terms your terms. And though this has been challenging since 2010 or so, when Uranus started to work its way in to Aries and across your midheaven, you have risen to the occasion many, many times. Now this is continuing to develop, and here's why. First Pluto gets into your relationship house and kind of shakes everything, including the entire economy, up. Then Uranus gets into your career house and continues to shake everything, including the economy and the world as we know it, up, and starts to shake up your life. And it's likely that you had some genuinely radical changes happening in your career around that 2010, 2011 era, which were not merely disruptive. The very essence of Uranus moving through one's 10th house is that there are upheavals, and then the upheavals are things you can put to work for you. You can make them work for you. And the beauty of having Aries involved in this whole scenario is that you connect with these upheavals. You thread the needle of the shakeups in your own life and the shakeups in the world by transforming your consciousness, transforming your notion of your role on an ongoing basis. And I employ people. Part of what I do as the editor-in-chief of Planet Waves is I employ people. And there are people who like to rise to the occasion. They like to come to work with a new challenge presented to them every day. And then there are people who just don't. The last thing they want is for things to change every day. I don't know which kind of person you are. You're a Cancerian. You are used to this process of cycling and cycling like the moon. However, you don't have much choice except to rise to the occasion, because that's what's going on. And we've been through the ingress of Pluto into Capricorn, the ingress of Uranus into Aries, which were in themselves Aries point style shakeups, compelling you to connect with a collective. Then we went through the Uranus-Pluto square for 5 years. Wow. Now we're going through the Uranus-Eris conjunction, which is kind of one of those things that never ends. It's like the Eagle said at the Hotel California, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave, which I think is a commentary on the 60s in a way. Too bad that's not totally true. It would have been nice to not leave, or at least to stay a little bit longer. And next, Pluto in your relationship house is going to spend years making a series of squares to Eris in your career house. And so it's as if this process has come through in a series of waves that peak in like 07, and then in 11, and then around 12, 13, and then again in around 16, 17. It's like wave after wave of just like, okay, I'm glad I have a nice place to live, and then I can afford it, and I can take care of myself. I can eat good food, because man, these changes are nonstop. Now the question is, the real question is, where things like Capricorn and Aries are involved, and planets like Uranus, Pluto, and Eris. And by the way, there's going to be more planets coming. We'll get to them in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Why? Why is this happening? What is the thing that you are being called upon to do? What is the occasion to which you are really being called to rise? There is one. And, we live in a time where there is so much necessity to be responsive and be responsible. And there is so much of throwing hands up in the air, or just figuring, I might as well just have a good time because the whole shit's going to come down, borrowing a bit from Jim Morrison, right? I don't know about you, but I want to have my kicks before the whole thing comes crashing down. Well, okay, so speaking as your neighborhood futurist and visionary, I often wonder how it is that I would explain this lack of responsiveness when basically every problem is confronting us, from the garbage piling up in the ocean and the garbage dumps, and the planet heating up, and people trying to pump as much oil out of the ground as fast as possible and sell it for as much money as possible, and political problems, and all the potholes on the streets and everything like that. What exactly was the thing preventing people from stepping up to this and facing the challenge? What exactly just, kept them reaching for another shot of tequila instead of actually taking a chance and attempting to make a difference? Well, one of the things is futility. Another one is lack of self-esteem, and this notion that many people carry around that they can't make a difference. There is no difference to be made. They can't make a difference, whatever the case may be. And look, this has affected me from time to time, but thankfully not that often. You're, first of all, of all the signs of the zodiac, you're positioned quite well to be on the positive side of self-esteem if you can start to unravel all the programming that was put into you, like was plugged into every member of the human race, particularly raised under his Abrahamic religions, where particularly if you're female, you're presumed to be worthless and all this stuff. You have Leo on the second house cusp, and the second house is, I think, above all else in contemporary astrology, which is, as Robert Hahn said, is psychological astrology. The second house is the house of self-esteem. You are blessed to have Leo in your house of self-esteem, and now the North Node is moving through Leo. Their eclipse is about to be moving through Leo, and this is saying, well, you actually can value yourself and your role, your contribution enough to be willing to step up to some highly unusual challenge. And you might be dragged into that challenge by the hair. You might be pushed into that challenge by something occurring in your community. You might willingly decide that you must meet the challenge that society faces. Admirable and worth experimenting with. But the thing is, there really is no escaping the fact that you are involved, you'll continue to be involved, and you'll be increasingly involved as time goes on. And so you may as well set your sights on, 2020, 2030, 2040, and think, all right, what are the let's say I want to be somewhere in 2020 participating on a certain level. What steps do I need to take now? It is better to take these steps willingly, consciously, and voluntarily than it is to be dragged into them or pushed or pulled into them, or for the sinkhole to open up and you fall into it and suddenly you're there, of your own choice and your own volition. Now, I say that knowing that, speaking as a journalist, I've often said that my assignments choose me. I don't really choose them. But prior to my assignments choosing me, I made myself available to be the best journalist I could be, and I made sure that I was prepared with the skill sets that I needed to get there. So I'm cancerizing. There have been many transformations in my professional life in the past few years, and 3 years ago, I was hired by Hearst to write a column in Marie Claire. So I said to my editorial team, all right, now we've hit the big time. We're on our first major American magazine. We're going to get it together. We're going to learn how to turn this copy around, and we're going to learn how to follow the Hearst style guidelines. We're going to take all the echoes out of the column and so forth. We're going to drill this, and we're going to get it down. When the Daily News hired me and my copy team were ready to begin on day one. Prepare yourself. Practice your skills. Practice, practice, practice. Drill, drill, drill. Work for free if you have to, doing the thing that you have to do so that you're experienced and seasoned in that thing. And I realize this is all taboo right now, with money being God and marketing being Jesus, as one of my readers so brilliantly, sarcastically said, that it's all about money and marketing. But actually, that's not true. Money is a complete abstraction, and marketing elevates image over substance. And you need to be in tangible reality, doing the things that you do, gaining practice at them every day, and the only marketing you need is contact with the human race of others who you can collaborate with and who will bear witness to and aid and abet you in your process of growth and the kind of the materialization of your vision for what you want to be. So this is halfway between, preparing for when preparation meets opportunity on the one hand, and on the other hand, your story is choosing you, as it were. The books you write choosing you, and whatever that might mean to you. All right, let's check out a few other things that are going on. Speaking of the whole Aries Capricorn thing, which is quite influential in your life, and the zodiac is pretty much organized in crosses, and though this has some substantiation in classical astrology, the wisdom of this really comes out of Alice A. Bailey's circa 1950 book, which is arguably one of the most hilarious know-nothing books about astrology, except for all the brilliant techniques that you learn. And one of the techniques you learn reading Esoteric Astrology by Alice Bailey, which you should give yourself at least a year to read, and 10 emails to me back and forth clarifying certain points, is that polarities are the most important thing in astrology, the integration of polarities, and then the cross upon which your sign sits. And so, therefore, what happens to Aries happens to Cancer. What happens to Capricorn happens to Cancer. What happens to Libra happens to Cancer. This is not described in the classical literature anywhere that I have seen. It is not so much as mentioned. I have not had a classically trained astrologer explain it to me. It is a distinctly modern concept, unless it comes from Lemuria or Atlantis or something like that. And this is where the action will continue to be for a second reason. See Mr. Chiron lingering back there in late Pisces, where it is now? Well, in a very short time, next spring of 18, Chiron's going to cross the Aries point, and it will begin its journey, its 9-year journey across Aries. The sign which takes the longest to go through for Chiron, it's at aphelion, it's the furthest away from the sun, and associated with all kinds of stuff going on. Hold that thought 1 second. Similarly, Saturn right now is hanging out in late Pisces right at the moment, or as of the solstice, it's going to be 24 degrees Capricorn retrograde, and it will move up into Capricorn later this year. So once again, yet again, there will be another square coming at you from your houses of love and work. Only this time it's Chiron and Saturn, which love to work together, in your case, on love and work. I think this is going to come as a relief. I think that the presence of Saturn in Capricorn is going to provide some soothing, healing, stability balm to all of the jackhammer-ish, cosmic jackhammer-ishness of Pluto in Capricorn, basically ripping the world's institutions to shit and completely dissolving them. The insignificant difference between truth and lies, for example. And Chiron coming into Aries will help focus identity where there has been this, again, running roughshod experience of, explosion of change and tumult and challenge in Aries that has been shaking people up and basically making everyone wonder who the holy hell they are. And this is happening in your career house. And so, and your relationship house, Capricorn, has a lot to do with your profession, because you just can't get, you just can't get away from Capricorn's association with business, which is one reason why you tend to do well in business relationships. You treat them as relationships, and why your marriage type connubial relationships would be wisely treated both as domestic relationships or loving relationships, as the case may be, both, and the business arrangements that they need to be. There's something grounded and serious about treating a household like a little business, and a marriage or loving relationship, if there's money going around, as a little miniature business partnership, and making sure that the ethics are in place and the balances are correct. And so, on many different accounts, this is going to continue to stay in the personal news in your life. Now, it's going to continue to be an exciting time in history, and as this little thing known as the Great American Eclipse, so at least that's what I'm calling it, happens at 29. It's 28 plus. Let's stick a little plus there. Like 28.5 degrees of Leo happens over the next approximately 2 months. It's not that far off. How far off is it? Let's see, 21st, 3 months approximately, right? The pressure is going to come on, and we're going to see all kinds of spectacular weirdness, unlike much that you've ever seen. And so you are going to get many occasions to rise to the occasion, even over the next 2 months as this eclipse happens. Now, where this eclipse happens in your chart is tantalizingly exciting, because it takes place in your house of self-esteem. First of all, this is the second house. Now, it's late in the house of self-esteem, which also, by the way, borrowing from classical astrology, is your house of available resources, available cash, the things you have, the gear that you have to work with, your ideas, the fact that you're alive, the fact that you might take care of yourself. All of that is your available resources, including whether you make yourself available for love and for work. Please do. Now, the eclipse takes place on the edge of that house, and also on the edge of your third house, Virgo, where the name of the tune in Virgo is applied intelligence. So there's something here about translating your resources into a job to do. You're being given a lot of support about that. And one of the discoveries that you're likely to make is how much you have in the way of resources. And you need to use them all. You need to use all of your talents, all of your skills, everything about what you feel rightfully belongs to you, or that you buy, beg, borrow, or steal, becomes your resource to do stuff with. And so you're on this edge where you're like, well, have I got enough to accomplish this next thing that needs to be done? This thing needs to be done. What do I have to do it with? What exactly do I have available? So spend the next few weeks inventorying what you have available. Your talents, your ideas, your energy, your passion, your sense of duty and responsibility, a very big factor for Leo. I mean, Leo is ruled by the sun, which holds the entire solar system together. That is a big job. Leo is only a blustering fool when it's in its unevolved state. It's only a bossy, egotistical douchebag when it hasn't really thought much about existence. Besides that, once you get past that, Leo's real flaw is that it works too hard. It is too concerned about the nature of its role and responsibility of holding so much together. So you want to be mindful of the concept of dharma and how much you're holding together, and keep some balance there, and make sure that you follow the principle of dharma, which is acting as if to hold the world together, doing your small part to hold the world together. And as you do that, and as you master that, you are very likely to be summoned to ever greater challenges. And this might end up being some pretty high level work that you have to do. And so the way to do that is to write, edit, proofread, and fact check everything as if it's going to appear on the pages of the Wall Street Journal, even though it may only be your personal blog or a memo that you're writing. Work at performance level. Be fully cognizant of the fact that anyone might be watching, listening, or aware of what you are doing. One other point I have in my notes is to make sure that your relationships with your higher-ups and your relationships with the government and your relationships with a corporate system are well presented. You have all this revolutionary activity going on in Aries, and you have Pluto in Capricorn, which has a lot to do with corporate business and government business. And to do that well, to be revolutionary, you must present yourself well. I mean, that's just how we do it in this culture. That doesn't mean bullshitting. It doesn't mean lying. It doesn't mean misrepresenting yourself in any way. But it means making sure that the packaging of your presentation is appropriate to that presentation, to who you're trying to reach out to. So be real, but do it in a classy way. And that is basically what I have to say to you. I would strongly encourage you to check out your rising sign and your moon sign. If you don't know that, go to astro.com or email us here at Planet Waves or call up the office. We'll look up your rising sign for you. You do need your birth time for your rising sign. Approximate will work for the most part with a rising sign, because between those readings, you will be able to composite together a much more complete picture. And it's unlikely that anything that I'm saying is conflicting in some major way. And if it is, you just use your creativity and find out how it might be that you kind of blend that vinegar and oil into salad dressing, because you can. All right. Thank you for listening. Great working with you. Great working for you. You know where to find me if you need to find me. EFC@bookofblue.com. Love. Bye for now.